Hello and happy, beautiful day to you. On today's episode, I want to share with you 3 tips to help you transform your relationships for healing, for transformation, or just for more love and connection. And this could be a romantic relationship or just fun family relationships or friend relationships, but just, the more that you really transform yourself, the more that it has the ability to heal every part of your life. And part of the reason this is also coming up is because if you listen to last week's podcast episode, I worked with a beautiful volunteer, Anne, and part of what was affecting her health, where if you recall, if you listen to that episode, she had pain in her neck, and then it was also in her jaw and pelvic area, and she'd had an accident, and there were all of these different things going on, and part of what was still impacting her, big part, had to do with the relationship with her mother. And as you recall from that episode, as we started to shift that and shift the way she felt in that, she was able to release her own pain. And all the time, I'll see people who are working on healing themselves from some type of illness or problem, and the relationship can be a key part of the healing. And so whether you're looking to heal yourself or heal your relationships and just your mindset and happiness, either way, the deeper you go, the more the transformation occurs. And so the 3 tips that I want to share with you are this, is first and foremost, number 1, it may be obvious, but noticing if you have a lot of emotion in relationships that can keep you from showing up as your best self. Now, sometimes, going back to the last episode that I worked with our volunteer with last week, she had a feeling of that her mother had told her she was lazy. And of course, she was trying to prove her wrong that she was, but there was something that controlled her. And because she had so many emotions about it, guilt and feeling bad, and then also wanting to prove that she wasn't. And so that can impact you at a deeper level, and of course, impact your relationships. And sometimes people might have a feeling of feeling insecure or not good enough or always criticized or whatever that is. But those patterns can, of course, interfere with your relationships and how much you really enjoy people and feeling and connecting with people. Because, if you think about anybody, if they're trying to do something, but they're feeling triggered with all of these subconscious emotions, it makes it harder to show up. So that's number 1, is really genuinely identifying and releasing these patterns and these emotions and clearing them, because what happens is more the best of you can show up. And so I would say that is also another key that you want to pay attention to, is that sometimes what happens is these patterns can get reinforced all around us, and we don't realize that it's happening. So we think that it's true, and we'll see it. And even, all the time you hear me use maybe an example of somebody who grows up with a mother who's critical. And what happens is then they feel always criticized. It just becomes the pattern, and they feel it, and they think people are critical, and it becomes the theme of their life. Or, you hear me use the pattern, the woman with the abusive father. She can leave him and find the abusive boyfriend, boss, spouse, etc., and start to believe or feel like all men are just abusive alcoholics. Now, of course, that's not true. There are amazing men out there. Or sometimes people will get it linked up that men are like children. And so they'll joke around and they'll have friends who are saying, oh, I don't have 3 kids, I have 4 kids, my husband too, or something like that. And that becomes how their life feels, is exactly that. And they attract more and more, and they feel that, and it feels very real. And so point being is with that, is that you want to make sure to really look at those patterns and make sure not to continue to validate them, because what happens is you get stuck in the pattern and it feels impossible to get out of it. Now, another example that I could use is this, is I've seen people who have very traumatic childhoods or traumatic hardship or relationships or a lot of hurt. But then let's say they'll read on social media somewhere that says, the relationships that love you the most are the ones who are there in the deepest of hurt, or something to that effect. It's not a direct, but they'll see this and they'll think to themselves genuinely that the best and deepest love happens over wounding and problems. And so what happens is their relationship patterns stay the same, where they're always attracting and connecting and finding that wounding, because what happens? Because it's linked up to love in their subconscious mind. And so that is the pattern, that no matter what they do, even though they don't consciously want it, just like a woman who has an abusive father who leaves him and finds the abusive boyfriend, boss, spouse, etc., that pattern continues. She doesn't want the pattern to create and repeat itself, but it absolutely can. Consciously, she wants something completely different. And all the time, I'll see people who have linked up that love and connection and relationship might look like wounding with bonding over hardship. And that becomes their life. Even though they don't consciously want it, the pattern continues. And so my point is that as you're changing, you want to make sure not to reinforce the pattern and where it might be showing up in your life, whether it's through people saying that, or social media, or wherever it is, or beliefs or old beliefs. You want to make sure to really genuinely transform the pattern, the way you're seeing and perceiving and feeling in life, so you feel in a different way. So that's the second one, that changing the pattern is pivotal, and that these patterns can be hidden, and so hidden, even though they're so around us. And so that's number 2. The third insight is just decide how you want to show up and how you want to feel, and really be that and do that. And by the way, this could be loving, it could be sweet, it could be fun, it could be playful, but decide that. And kind of to actually give you a simple example, over the holidays, I just went up and I saw my family and my mother and my siblings, and also my niece and my nephews. And it was so sweet. Now, when I see them, I always want to show up and just make memories like that. That's my energy, is just like, because I don't see them all the time. They live far away. And so when I travel to see them, that is the goal, is make memories, have fun, be the fun aunt, just enjoy. And so I went to the mall with my niece. We all went, my mother went with me, and so did my sister. And I went, and because my niece wanted to go to the mall and go shopping, so we took her, and, it was just like, oh, well, what can we do? Can we do this? Can we do that? Like, what can be fun? Like, I wanted to just create an experience. And I'm not typically somebody who goes to the mall a lot, but she wanted to go, and it was like, okay, let's go, let's do this. Now, inside the mall, there was this like huge trampoline with bungees connected to it. So it's like bungee trampoline jumping in the middle of the mall. And so in this quest to make memories and have fun, I asked her, I said, hey, do you want to go do that? And she was like, yes. So I was like, oh, I'll buy you a ticket to go do that. And so I got her one, and she goes, can you come with me? And I was like, okay, well, absolutely, I'll do that. So we did it. But then also my sister and my mother were also right there, and they were laughing. They were like, oh, you're going with? And I said, yep, and so are you. And so I bought them tickets too. So point being is it created, this is just silliness and playfulness, but in an effort to just show up and be playful and playful out and make memories. That was the energy of it. And it just did. It was so sweet. And the whole trip was just really so sweet. Every part, like, I just loved it, because my energy was exactly that, was just show up, have fun, make memories, make everybody feel loved, and connect and bond. That was the goal. And it worked out fantastic. And so my point is, in your relationship, maybe it's showing up loving, maybe it's showing up sweet, maybe it's being ridiculous or playful, or whatever that is for you. But the more you decide, the more you can show up that way, and literally, and I did so many things while I was up there just trying to say, okay, well, let's go do this, let's go do that. It was like a feeling of just saying, I'm here, and let me make memories, let me make this fun. And so, a lot of times what can happen is that we get so busy with work or with life or with everything else that then the relationships tend to get the leftovers. Like, oh, okay, well, I'm home and I'm done, or I'm this, or, and so that's what I would invite you to do, is decide how you want to be and how you want to show up in your relationships, and start finding silly little fun or playful ways, or, just ways to do that, to show up and to playful out and enjoy. Because the more you put into your relationships, the more you get out of them, not because you're need to pull something out of them, just the more you enjoy them, and the more love and fun and healing and happiness that you can create. So that's the insight for today, is exactly that, is just, a few ways to really start shifting your relationships for healing, health, happiness, all of the above. So that said, that's the insight. By the way, sometimes people will say, as they're going through these episodes with the podcast, they'll say, oh my gosh, so-and-so healed from this. They'll see people healing themselves all the time. And they'll say something like this. They might say, oh, I had that, I have that issue too. I can see that, so they'll notice different parts of themselves in different episodes. And so if that is you, just so you know, sometimes people say, well, what do I need to heal? There's so many different things. There is a training. So if you're somebody who's looking at healing something specific, I do have a training course that has a database in it that can help you to identify the specific things that you'll want to heal and work on if you're working on healing specifically. So just kind of noting that is a frequently asked question that we do get. So just wanting to point that out. And of course, there's the free training available to help you understand how mind-body healing works if you want that. But either way, just the resources are there. I want to support you to really have the best life, to enjoy love, happiness, joy, and healing. So that said, on that note, I want to ask you to please do, by the way, hit the share button on this episode. Take just a quick moment to share it with somebody you love, somebody you care about, or somebody you don't even know, because the more that every single person in our world is empowered and happy and healthy and loved and loving, the better this world really is for all of us. And so please do hit the share button, and please do make a point to have a most wonderful, incredible rest of your day. And I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. We'll see you there.